it's Jenna Lemire here with your yearly 2025 already. Can you believe it? Forecast or charm casting. This is something I've been doing every year now for a while, where I pull from my charm bag. I have about 150 different charms in here, all of which have a different story, at least one story. Some of them have up to 50. And it is a form of divination. It is a little bit more unique. I absolutely love it. And what happens is, as I pull the charms, I am connecting with my spirit team. And because there's stories attached with them, I am pinging them and kind of like, is it this one? Is it this one? And then they help me whittle it down until the correct message comes forth. And they come with really unique and funny stories sometimes. So sit back and relax, and we will see. I'm going to find out right along with you what it's going to be. So I'm going to pull a charm that is going to be the basic theme for 2025. And then I'm going to go through and pull one charm for every month of the year so that we can get an idea of what either the teaching is, what the consideration of that month will be, um, or it may give some insight into what may be happening in the world. I do need to preface ahead of time that the world right now is at a place where we kind of don't have a set future like we did at one point, or the illusion that we had at one point, in that it used to be that we were locked into a way of being. And so it was easier to do readings because we were caught in a lot of patterns that were so ingrained. Whereas these days now, I mean, just look at the media or the news or, all that kind of stuff. We're seeing like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. And there's a lot of surprises, and people are getting more used to surprises. And that's actually a good thing, because as we keep this curiosity and this wonder vibration, we are open to more potentials, and we don't have as much of a fixed seeming timeline like we once did. So sometimes getting a charm that maybe is for May, and maybe there's a teaching or something that comes through for that, as the collective or whoever runs across this hears that, they may feel like, ooh, I would like to lean more into that. And then it could come faster to where it may happen in April. Or we might go, ooh, that kind of felt funky. I don't really know if I am preferring that timeline. And so we may actually use this to make a different choice. And so that's how I would use this forecast, is less as a forecast of what has to happen, and more like, how do you want to use it? How do you want to use it as a consideration for each month? How do you want to use it for your own life? Okay. So I'm going to do some light language over the charms, begin to connect with them. Then I'm going to pull in and just whoop, 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 put them out on my little uh, table chart here. And then I'm going to go through each month and tell you what comes through. And like I said, I don't know ahead of time what it's going to be either. So I am very excited to see what's going to happen here.
Mulai Shania tayo katay siya sama na kaniya siya. Mo siya sama hiya kala no kula mari tu ma hiya nai. Jon so yasama hetiana kala hini mo lokai. Kariya mo tuya. Kariya siya. Zolo mo lo hodo na hetiana taka. La ya ka jona mahati ti ola mahati tai. Jon ko tama itiana jona lo ma ka yana tai sei. Lo ma ka isho na mo tuya. Isho mo hoko hoko lama itiana koto Adonai.
Okay. So if you've been pulled out, now they're going to have me arrange them. So we're going to first start with the main theme of the year. The main theme of the year for 2025 is, we pulled these are boxing gloves. Okay, so boxing gloves. This is, it's an action year. It is a year for us standing up. It's a year for us actually, okay, they're having me say two different things. So it just depends on how we approach it, as far as the fighting part of it. We're basically coming up against things that we can no longer ignore. So that means we're going to have to say things. We're going to have to stand up for ourselves. We're going to be shining and showing our authentic self. That's going to be highly triggering to the people who knew us before. And there will be times where we wouldn't have been able to say something before, but now it is just like too painful not to. And so that's the first representation of the glove, as far as like this is the year of like standing up, or in essence fighting for the truth of who and what we are. But they're also showing it uh, like as an emit also, in that they want to focus on communication. This is a year where effective communication is key. So that means for us to take nice deep breaths, and the things that we do stand up for or begin to fight for, it is very important that we're not doing it from a place of fear or anxiety or revenge or anything like that. In that, in a law of attraction based universe, when we hit from a place of anxiety or fear, it's not actually going to do anything but then have us hit back, and we continue to stay in this like ping pong. And so what this is about is us actually standing up from our truth. So we're not actually pushing forward with our solar plexus, which is the will of the ego. Instead, we're actually up now into the throat. So we're speaking past the heart, which means we're validating and being more receptive to and points of view. So it's not just I'm right, you're wrong, but it's like how are both of our subjective experiences, and how can we work through that if we are seeing things differently. So another reason that it's kind of a myth is that there's an invitation for a communication. If you see it sort of like when you're throwing a ball and you catch it in your mitt, it's like taking a moment to really be in that catch, and like I'm hearing you, I'm understanding you before you. So, in other words, it's no longer a ping pong match where as soon as something comes in, you're hitting it right back, but instead you're catching it. You're giving it some time to be valid, to be important, to see where someone's actually coming from. So, we're really truly listening and receiving before we then throw back. And then it'll be important that when we throw back in way of communication, that it is going to be from our truth versus our reactivity. And so that is the main overarching theme that is for the whole entire year and for every single month. Okay, so January, let's see what this is about. January, I got the charm of a little tent, like camping tent. So let me see what's going to go on here. So January feels like a very big, fresh year. There's a lot of people in the collective right now who are really feeling like 2024 was rough, and they're starting to feel like, that clean slate type of feeling. And this is an invitation to go back to simplicity. Why they're showing it as a tent is it's almost like, what is it that you need to actually live? And it's an invitation for us to strip down, and I'm getting a picture of like Marie Kondo. It's like really finding what is your joy, really finding what are you using, and an invitation to let go of what is extraneous, I guess is the word. Um, there's something they're saying, wait, like not WA, but like actual physical weight. That this is interesting. A lot of times around January too, people like have new weight loss goals and fitness goals. And they're saying that oftentimes one of the things that frees us of the weight that we're carrying is in the stuff that we have, in the like hoarding, in the holding on of memories or material items. And that there is a really cool exercise that you can do when you're releasing things that you have used to the capacity that you need to, and as you're letting it go, it's an opportunity to do shadow work. It's an opportunity to reacquaint you with the version of you who bought the item. It's an opportunity to introduce you back to the version of you that had maybe hopes for a future you that may someday utilize this particular item. And we've been living a lot in the past and future, and this will be an opportunity for us to really see, like, tighten up more into the now, um and not have an overlay of this future self that's going to use these things, but instead, like, are you using it now today? And if you want to still use it, it's an invitation to actually begin to actually use it. So we're no longer waiting for a future self. um we're no longer waiting for a future self to enjoy the stuff. And so it doesn't mean that you have to get rid of all of your possessions. It just means, like, make them matter. Make the possessions, like, begin to actually use them, or allow yourself to truly free them. Okay, so, and then they just keep saying getting back to the basics, getting more into minimalism, and seeing what is actually important. And you're going to find over this course of this year, many people are going to do this. Many people will end up losing weight, if you will, in this way, in that it is not about, I mean, it can be about diet and stuff too, but, like, it's not as much about that as there is emotions that are clutching to these materials, these material items, and our relationship with them. It also is an invitation too, in that people are getting back to the basics when it comes to, it used to be the influencer world where the most luxurious Ritz-Carlton event or whatever would be the highest. Whereas now, the slower nature bound retreats and adventures are going to come to the top of the list. People are going to be reconvening with nature unlike they ever have before. So they're also giving me the image of a tent because of that. So there's going to be a lot more people connecting with the land and finding beauty in that, and spending more adventures in camping, like, literally. February, even though this is not the month of Libra, February, we got the actual Libra charm. But out of all of my charms, this is the one that is representing balance. So they're having me talk about lots of stuff's going to come up in the month of February regarding balance. If we take the idea of source or God, and instead of making it like good or bad, or if we just look at it as God meaning simply all things, all things. And if we saw that there's like this circle, and all these different titles were in here of all the different things in the world that could be chosen, what will happen is we'll look at this and we kind of understand the idea of God being all things, but we still damn things. So what that means is we'll look at the circle and we'll go, well, certainly somebody that fights another person, that's not a part of God. So we put it over here, like, no, that shouldn't happen. Or somebody that, like, the Hitlers of the world or whatever, it's like, nope, that can't happen, right? So, and when we put it over here, in essence, what we take out of the circle, we're damning, and what we damns us back because of oneness, and because God actually is all things. If we take anything outside of that, it's an untruth. And so there's going to be an invitation for us to recognize that we will not actually have full balance, and we won't actually have full choice until all things are in the circle. Now, this does not mean that we prefer it. It doesn't mean we like it. And it doesn't mean we would choose any of the behaviors in the circle. What it basically means is, just like if you went to a buffet and they just had two things, right? You have a lot less choice. Well, when it comes to looking at the idea of God or free will in general, we don't, it's kind of an absolute in that we don't have full choice unless we actually have full choice. So, from God's point of view, all choices can be chosen. And so what this is an invitation for us to see what we're damning in the world. And all we're needing to do is put it back in the circle and see that it's choosable because everything is choosable. And it's only when everything is on the buffet table and an option to be able to eat, do we have the fullness of what the restaurant is offering or what God is offering, right? And so what this means is, yeah, so recognizing what you're damning, putting it back in the circle, and then once every single thing is choosable, then and only then will we be like the center point of the scales. So we're going to be the middle. We're not going to be in duality of right and wrong and yes and no. We're going to literally be able to view it all and have full choice. So that's what February is about, is that we're going to be seeing a lot of the things that we've been damning and taking out of the circle, which are damning us back. And then again, they just keep saying that this doesn't mean that by you putting like the Hitlers back in the circle, that that means that you would love those behaviors or that you're condoning or supporting it. It just means all you need to get to is that you see that it is choosable. And we know that it's choosable because it can happen. That's all. It doesn't mean we want it to happen. It just means things like that are able to happen because they have, right? There was that experience in the world. So it's only when everything can be choosed and is balanced in the center that we then get to speak our truth. Um, and that's where the full preference comes in. That's when we can, instead of damning and pushing away things we don't want, we're going to be able to actually say, yeah, I've sure learned from that. This is the world I prefer. And that's where we will make peaceful choices, or we're going to create the things in the world that the world is needing. That is the being, the change. But we can't actually use the voice of our higher self until all things are choosable. So this is going to be a really big shadowy work month, because it's kind of this big reckoning of all the things are going to come up that you have been damning. March. Ooh, we've got our little elephant friend. An elephant friend has, this one has an upturned nose, which is denoting like positivity. And yes, so using the idea of elephants never forget. Um, this is going back again into like our past and the memories and the identifications of who we once were. And they're showing me the example of the elephant that gets tied up when it's really little, its leg to a pole, and then it grows up to be so strong that just a one move of pull, they could break themselves loose, but they don't because they're so conditioned to be stuck to this pole. And there's a big freeing. That's why the nose is going upward. It's a positive thing. There are things, and they're saying memory, forget my memory. So basically, we're going to be unlocking some of our memories of the past, of the moments where we were shackled. So by being brought back to those memories, we're going to be able to recognize, oh my gosh, I can see where I've been attached to this pole. That's where that happened. And then we're going to be able to see what we've learned from it. We're going to be able to change beliefs about it. We're going to be able to feel a lot of the emotions that have been sort of stuck in an arrested development kind of state. And we're going to be able to feel really freed from that. And again, they're showing me the up. So it's a very positive thing. And they're saying too that it's not going to be quite as hard as the shadow work that maybe we've done in the past. It's going to be very clear. And yeah, so it's going to have a lot to do with our memories and the origin point of the places where we feel the most shackled. So that feels very, very positive in the month of March. We get brought to those things through triggers, something that feels similar to that event of maybe feeling shackled or whatever. It'll be like, oh my gosh, I don't like this feeling. And it reminds me of that time. So there may be things in our external circumstances that trigger it, but it doesn't feel like it's going to floor us like it would have in the past. It's kind of like, okay, I can see right away how I can utilize this and do shadow work around it and that kind of thing. April, we've got roller skates, little roller skates. This totally matches my shirt. So, okay, let me see what they're saying here. Okay, so this is really about skating forward. It's a kind of literal one in that um it feels like there's been some maybe some roughness in that month, like the reckoning of the balance from February and then a lot of the shadow work in March. It feels like there's an opening, a big opening in April where what has been trapped through the shackled stuff and those memories, not only were there suppressed emotions that we need to see, feel, and heal, that were uncomfortable emotions, but there are also a lot of freeing emotions that are going to open up like never before, that are going to be in the really happy and very comfortable and satisfying emotions that are peace and above. So we're going to be able to touch the joy in new ways than we never have before. Because to the depths of what we've all been doing as shadow work for so long, these last few years especially, it's going to allow us to really reach like the as above, so below type of thing. We're going to be able to reach a lot further into pleasure, play, joy than we've ever had before. And then that is just showing like people are going to feel more free spirited. People are going to be putting on some roller skates and going out. People will be skipping. People will be, yeah, feeling a lot more unencumbered, which would be basically the release from the shackles that comes up the month before. So it sounds like April's a really free and amazing month for us. In May, they have a little what is this? Cage, bird cage. And this is really interesting. So with April having that upswing, what's happening with the other thing, okay, with the cage the next month is this. So anytime we step into a new character, so we'll have done a lot of the shadow work before those other months. We're going to feel freed in April, which means that we are trying out a new character. Okay, this is like a frequency right here, like or like an elevator floor of frequencies. So everything matching that same like roller skating, feeling really fun, right? So what will happen is the universe kind of does this thing where it's like, okay, so you were down here with these particular topics and you now are casting yourself out in the world as a new character. But it kind of needs to work out which one is it. How you will know that you get to be the more free one more permanently, as a baseline, is that basically what's going to happen is the shackled things will that you had before are going to come up again because uh because it's kind of like you've got your foot on the brake and gas at the same time. It's like what's going to happen here? Are you the new character? Are you the old character, right? So events need to happen again that come around to see if you respond as the new character that is unencumbered, or if you react like the old version of you that felt shackled. And that's why it's a bird in a cage, that caged feeling again. But the bird here also is halfway out of the cage. So that's why it's kind of like, what's it going to be? And it's going to depend on the person and how far along you are in your journey. Because some people, what will happen is they'll be up here and then the same thing will happen again and they'll go, wait a minute, this happened. I guess I'm not that character. The same old happening again. And then they go down here and then they maintain the old version of themselves. So what's going to have to happen is this, it's almost like a test. I hate using that word, but it's like if you're going along and then all of a sudden the same type of thing happens, but you respond differently. You respond as the new character and you don't go wah, 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 back down here. Then it's kind of like you go, no, yeah, I'm this new character no matter what happens, even if the old themes come, if you handle them differently and show up as the new character, it's almost like, and there you go. And then you get to go as the new character. So when these things happen in May that come around again, it's a choice point. Are you half in or half out? Are you going to go out of the cage or are you going to stay in the cage? You'll have endless other opportunities, by the way. So even if you are somebody that's like hits this and go, no, actually, this is too hard, and you respond or react the same way you did before, and you kind of have a lull down there, it's not like it won't come back around again for you to have another opportunity. But that is a what I call like an echo month of all of the things. That still might be in the way of you feeling like you can be the roller skating free spirit, enjoyer of joy and pleasure. So that is going to be an echo month, half in, half out of the cage. Are you going to react? Or are you going to respond? What character do you want to be? June. June, we have a little typewriter. Okay, let me see what this is about. Okay, I keep thinking that there's going to be something more, but they're going very literal here. This is a month where literally, okay. Oh, I see. So the reason they're showing me a typewriter versus a computer is because it seems like they're wanting to make it clear that it's not just that we're uh, journaling or writing something about now or the future. There is something that we will be writing that has to do with our past. So that's why they're showing it as a typewriter. So writing out about the past, writing memoirs, writing, writing to your past self. There's a lot of stuff that has to do with getting out things about your past, and for a good deal of people, they need to do it in this written format. So this is an invitation to make sure, and to know that you don't have to make it a New York bestseller. This can be something that you just do for yourself, but it is an invitation to be kind of wrapping up a lot of what you needed to write or say about your past. Yeah, so that's what it looks like. June is about journaling of the past, getting out, making connections with prior selves by way of writing. July, I need a new one of these. This is, it just looks like a little gray thing. But what this is it's a soup can, which actually, out of all of my charms, the soup can, just like a chicken soup or whatever, has meant or has one of the meanings is when people get sick. So I'm just trying to think what's going on here. So I don't know if there's something that's going to happen where like it's a, but what they're also saying is the idea of like chicken soup for the soul. It's a time for self-care. That's the big thing that they're pushing forward right now. So July is all about self-care and it's about being on the edge. They're showing me how, ooh, this is interesting. They're saying that like so many of us now are at the point of really understanding what works for our bodies and what doesn't. And this is going to be a month in July of you're just going to vibe out of so many things. And they're just showing me showing a lot of people teetering. It would be kind of like Like an example is if someone just kind of started not drinking as much and not having a taste for it, or feeling like every time they just didn't feel good afterward, and they know it and maybe went a month or two and then decided to do it again, and then they just felt crummy. It will be one of those on the edge things where you're starting to know right away when a boundary is crossed, either with yourself or with another person or whatever. It's going to feel almost like you're going to get sick. And so we can head that off at the pass. That's why it's showing me like a verge. It's almost like by having the chicken soup, by really leaning into self-care, by being aware of what your boundaries are, by recognizing what your body really wants, for its nourishment, and starting to proceed with that, it nips it. But there's a huge, huge invite for us to recognize those things and lean into self-care. But they're saying it'll be more obvious than ever and easier than ever, because the contrast of how good we've been feeling, especially in that April spike, um, is going to be really great. Uh, so good that the stuff that's not working for us anymore is literally going to be feeling like poison. And when something feels so awful and it's just not giving you what it used to, it's a lot easier to let go. And that's what they're showing for July. Ooh, August, this is interesting. We have a Pegasus. Woo! The veil is super thin. They're just showing me the word fantasy right now. So apparently, I don't know if there's something in technology. Was it that? They're basically saying that something really opens up in August that has to do with us reimagining things or imagining things in ways that we never have before. Um, and it's allowing us to reach past any ceiling that we had and even into things that feel like fantasy. Um, and it's a way for us to be able to really feel like our dreams can come true. This is a really great energy. I'm feeling really good. Like they're sending me like, whoa. It feels like April's a really amazing spiked month. And then August also feels like, wow, there's possibility. Wow, I can maybe craft a life that feels beyond my wildest dreams. So they're showing that because in our typical world, it's not like we're seeing horses going around with wings, right? And so this is us being more open than ever to things that we haven't been able to see before. It's like seeing through and having access to different, like our multidimensionality. And then horses, a lot of times, with my guides will represent freedom, like the ability to just run with all this amazing power. There's this empowerment energy with horses. And they wanted to also sort of underline that there's a stronger power than we've ever had before when it comes to like our fantasy, like our dream life, that there's going to be some more power. Okay, they're also saying talk about it with the horse thing. Okay. Oh, it's okay. All right. So they're saying that like a lot of times our fantasy would just be in our head and we didn't have the physical action that. So what would happen is like with law of attraction teachings and that kind of stuff, it's like, oh, I really want, it would be kind of like, I want a new house. Oh, it'd be nice to have a new house. I'd like to have a new house. So what that does, if we say that but don't do the action steps with it, is the universe is actually delivering us what we're asking for, which at this point is stays in an inactionable thought. So by saying I want a house, the universe is like, oh, let me give you more things to continue to want about a house. But if I want a house and then I'm going to take a now moment action step toward that with physical action, then the universe can respond back with a physicalized version of our dreams. So apparently there's a lot of people that's gonna like click in new ways for, where um we're going to be able to take more action steps. So that's why they're showing that it's almost like the flighty wings of the Pegasus is where we have been, where so many of our fantasies were just like in our heads. And then the horse part of it is like there's going to be more power and more physical ability now behind it, like a kind of almost like a workhorse. We've got um, this energy behind it of actual physical movement and freedom and empowerment to actually achieve some of these dreams. So that sounds exciting. September, what's this? We've got a Brontosaurus. Is that what that is? Yeah. Okay, let me see what this is about. They just keep saying the name to me. They keep saying like 3 times. They said gentle giant, gentle giant, gentle giant. They're showing this enormity, like the enormous size, but then they're showing like um it eating, you know, plants, and it's being like a non-threatening, gentle giant. So that is the motto, I guess, or the thing to continue to underline and say to yourself come September, because uh, apparently there are huge things that may seem like they just keep saying giant. Hold on, let me figure this out. Okay, so what they're saying is that it would be kind of like the energy that somebody would have if they came up upon a Brontosaurus. It feels like, holy crap, this is so big. This could really hurt me. And it's not until we know more about what they're doing. It's like the more we watch how they interact with the world, the more that we see that it might actually be more of a gentle giant and not as threatening as we thought. So this would be a month to start seeing what is actually a gentle giant for you. So observing anything that feels big and intimidating, observing anything that feels all consuming, observing anything that feels too big to happen, or even it could be like media things that seem like the example they're giving me, and this is funny because I'm doing this at the end of December before anything like has happened. Like I'm sure by the time you get, well, especially by the time September hits, we're gonna know what happened with TikTok. But it would be an example of like how it seems like something really big, like a TikTok ban, or like that there's so many people and things that can put a stop to something, or like maybe a biggie brother type of thing, or something that feels so big and so almost threatening or scary at first, but that if you observe you will see, and they just keep saying, gentle giant, gentle giant, gentle giant. There is some sort of energy that if we say, yes, I recognize the magnitude of this, but if we keep seeing this thing as a gentle giant, we will get back by way of law of attraction, the gentle giant side of it. If we think this is threatening and holy crap, this is too big, and we impose that and see it as a something perpetrating us with us a victim, then we can create that. So anything in your life that feels really big and really like scary, just know that there is a gentle side to everything. And the more that you're able to see that and lean into that and continue seeing that, you will be able to get the benefit of the gentle giant. So yeah, and it feels like maybe there is an event similar to like where something gets threatened to be banned, or something really big starts to happen in the world that like just feels very kind of fearful and like way too big. Like, what are we going to do about it? But there's an invitation to just keep being like, nope, this is actually, there's a gentle giant here, and be very curious. And if you are looking for the softness, you will find it. If you're looking for how it's a perpetrator and how it is big and you stay in fear, you absolutely can get that back. So it looks like there's a couple things happening in the world, and that some people will be very intoxicated by the fearful part, and that some stuff will maybe come out with that, but it doesn't feel like everyone will be affected that way. The ones that see it as a gentle giant will get the gentle giant experience of the same landscape of Earth. Okay. All right. So October, we have, this is funny. These are like little like Christmas stockings, and there's two of them. Um, two kind of stuck together. It's so funny because we actually, in last year's forecast, a stocking came up too, but it was one single one and it came up for December, which was funny. But this one is coming up for October. And so what they're showing here, hold on. Oh, okay. What they're saying is like whoever's seeing this message, it feels like a lot of people that have made it this far in this term casting and are hearing this, you might be a people pleaser. So what this is it's talking about every stocking that you in essence fill for someone else. It's going to be more painful than ever if you're not also, this is why they're showing two stockings, if you're not giving yourself equal or actually more in your own stocking. So this is going to be more painful than ever before. The depleted nature of the people pleaser that is giving and giving from an empty stocking, if you will. You're not going to be able to do that anymore. So this is a month where that's going to come up, and it's going to be an invitation to find more and more ways that really feel like your stocking is full. You're going to only be able to give when you are so filled with all the goodies and the really amazing nurturing things that you love, that brighten your face, brighten your day. And they're saying too that that version of you that is utilizing and enjoying what is in your stocking, it like doubles. They're saying that like that is the medicine. That is the way that other people's stockings get full. But what has happened thus far is we've been giving from a depleted place and not actually filling our own stocking. So apparently that is a month where it again will be harder than ever to do it the old way. But converting to the new way will be easier than it has ever been before. So that's what October is about, is the end of the people pleaser, the recognition. Also, they're saying that a lot of people don't actually know because they've been kind of caregivers or helping like all their lives, that they don't even know what they'd want their own stocking filled with. They don't know what lights them up. And that's okay, but they're saying to use like to ask, like, I want to know what lights me up. Show me what lights me up. Because what will happen is if you say, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, into a mirror, the universe is like, okay, so you still don't know. You still don't know. You still don't know what you like. You won't ever know that way. But if you recognize you've been doing that and then say, you know what? Yeah, in the past I haven't known, but I've also been only broadcasting that. Now I'm going to be like, you know what, universe, show me. Show me the things that light me up. Show me the ways in which I would be the most jazzed to, like, the things I would love to get in my stocking. I want to uncover what that is. Please continue to uncover what that is. And that energy can actually give you the result. But what's been happening is we've been so depleted from over giving that it's kind of like, and then when it comes to us, we don't even know. So it'll be like, I don't know. And then there's closing the door on anything coming through. So there's a big invitation for that to open up by just saying, yeah, in the past, I haven't really known what this is, but now I am open to finding out. Show me what knocks my socks off. November. Ooh. So this one we have a little dress form, or like it looks like it's kind of on a hanger. What's going on with this, November? Okay, they're just saying that there's a lot of infinite emphasis on feminine energy, and excuse the um lack of or like the on the nose dress idea of that, but that is just what's coming up as a symbol. So there's just a lot of energy on, okay, they're showing me the throat. Okay. So a lot of what's been happening with the rise of the feminine or the dark feminine or the toxic masculine or whatever people's names are for all of these tropes. What's been happening is okay, they're going back to the fight. The fight at the beginning, the 2025 like thing here. What they're saying is that we've been sort of dealing with these issues for a really long time from our solar plexus, from the will of our ego. And so we've been in a fighting warrior mode over trying to balance the masculine feminine energy by having I'm tasting a bitter taste in my mouth right now. So with a lot of bitterness, and in other words, we've been doing this um, from the lower chakra and not from the throat, not from our higher self. And so, and they're showing me that there's been a lot of damming. So remember that circle earlier. It's kind of like, oh, toxic masculinity or whatever can't be in the circle as a choice. And so, in essence, we are damming that, and then anything that's around that, we're saying no from our solar plexus, our ego. Nope, we've decided at the human level, not the higher self level, that can't happen. It's not choosable. Okay. Now remember, we don't want that, clearly. We don't want anything that's toxic, but we just have to put it back in the circle. So this will be a big month of taking what we were seeing that we've been getting nowhere with, because when we're again at the solar plexus, it's a ping pong game. And if we dam something, it dams us back. So it goes back and forth. And in essence, it's like meeting toxicity with toxicity in that we're saying that it's not choosable. So what the feminine energy does is it brings everything back into the circle and says, listen, everything can be chosen. We have learned from the imbalance of these themes. Therefore, that's maybe the only reason that it needed to happen, is we learned more and more about what it is that we want. And so we're able to just simply put it back into the choosable thing. And then they're bringing me back to February. Now, once everything is available to choose, we kind of move past that. And then we go where the scales of right and wrong are over here. We no longer see them. They're kind of behind us, the scales. And then we go forward again. It's the middle of the scales is where the heart chakra is. So, and that's where, yeah, that's where the true free will is, because all can be chosen. And then they're showing this is almost like the Christ consciousness. This is the your higher self then gets to manifest what is wanted, what is preferred, and does that with the change and through a balanced neutral, neutral with a choice. Neutrality has to happen first before choice. Neutrality has to happen before true choice. And so that's what's going to be happening with the whole masculine feminine out of imbalance, is that we're going to see that we've learned a lot from it, therefore it had to happen. We're no longer damning it, and instead we're holding all choices, and then we're going to be able to walk forward with the game of catch, which is listening, taking and seeing how everyone's situation has some validity. Hurt people, that kind of stuff. And by listening and catching the ball before we throw back and no longer doing the ping pong game, but instead playing catch, that is more of the feminine way of communicating. It is more of um the back and forth that is heart-centered and that of our higher self. So that is what's going to be happening in February or November, is that dynamic is going to become easier than ever. So it's a return more of an aligned feminine energy, which includes masculine energy. It's not the feminine needs to rise over. It's not it's the end of the fighting the patriarchy, which doesn't mean that we want or submitting to patriarchy. But what it does mean is that we're no longer fighting it. So we're putting down the ping pong paddle, and we're going to have actual heart-centered and lots of choice that is going to come from a calm nervous system instead of a warrior uh, position. This is interesting. December, we have hot sauce. Hot sauce. So there's a lot of spice, and then there's also a lightning bolt, which is almost like a what would that be considered? Like a an amplifier. Like this is like this also means just really fast. This kind of was a hovering thing that has to do with a lot of this year. Um, Anytime that this comes out, it just means like everything, like okay, and why it's also being brought up in December too is because you think this year went fast. Apparently 2025 is going to be feeling like one of those years that was like so fast. You just like turn around twice and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, it's 2026 now. It was like so much healing, so much transformation, so many new considerations. It just, it's lightning fast. And then they're also showing like this spiciness um in December. Let me see if there's more to that. Hold on. I love how they talk to me. It's so funny because I was just talking about this today with my partner Patrick, in that he like will eat a burrito dry, and I was telling him how he's like, well, there's a lot of like good stuff inside of it, and that's fine. And I'm like, yeah, I love all that too, but I like every time I have a burrito, I like to also have some sort of sauce on top of every single bite so that the burrito itself gets like wet. And it just, I don't know, I just like that sauce in every bite. And so, like, between he and I, which one's right? It doesn't matter. Like, he likes it one way, I like it one way. So, there's an and an add. So, that's a big thing that's going to happen in themes with December, is we're going to start recognizing and being able to validate more that like you have this preference, I have this preference, and it's going to be less of the fighting and more of the and. It's this and that, not this or that. And then they wanted to add the word add too, because a hot sauce is typically one of those like things that you add later if you want, right? So there's also a choice with it. There's like choice. Um, and it's an addition of something that you can use to spice up your life. So it looks like there's going to be, I'm seeing some ideas with abundance, and that there's going to be a comfort more based on everything that we went through over the year, a more comfort especially for the people pleasers, to feel like if they want to add something, they have the right to. And it's really interesting how many of us, um, it's sort of like when somebody says, "Oh, do you want a glass of water?" And we're like, "Oh, no, it's all right," because we don't want to inconvenience it. Whereas, like, I probably should, or like water might feel good to drink right now, but we're like, "Oh, no, we'll just say no right away." So, why they're adding this like idea of hot sauce is it's like we're gonna feel more empowered than ever to recognize, I do like hot sauce and I do deserve to have what I like. I can spice this up if I want to, and I have the right to, and it's not harming anyone else. Somebody else can have their burrito without it, and that's fine too. But it's a way to really feel like you can advocate for yourself, you're not harming anyone else, and you're really being able to state, you know what? I'm going to add this because burrito's good as it is, but you know what? That hot sauce would make it even better, and by God, I deserve it. So by the time we come to December, we're going to be in that alignment more where we'll feel like we have a voice. We feel like we have learned what's in our stocking. And like, by God, I actually asked in what was it, October with the stockings. I asked, like, I want to know what it is I like. And then we're going to find out, gosh, I actually like hot sauce. And then with that balancing of the feminine energy and the being able to have that divine voice that comes through after that, by December, we're going to be like, you know what? When you ask if I want hot sauce, yes, please. I will have that and I will add it and make what I already love even better, and it's not harming anyone else, and you don't need to have hot sauce. But that feels like a really good ending, is like we're really practicing a lot of what we learned over the years or the whole year. And then they're saying too that there can be a surge also of more abundance in that month than we've ever had before, especially those that are watching this. And if you heed this, that's the thing. This isn't just to give you a silly, like, oh, these are predictions, this and this. This whole thing is for you to find yourself in it. Find yourself in these teachings or stories. Find And if you remember this month by month, in fact, if you want to like kind of recap a couple things and put this either on your calendar somewhere or in your journal, so that the months as they come, you can consider like bring this up again and just be like, this month's consideration and symbol was this. How is that going to apply to my life? And then if you really lean into a lot of things that were mentioned, you will be able to enjoy all of the benefits that these stories had and end up at this place. If you just either don't even get through this, or if you hear this and you're like, oh, that was a fun thing to hear, and then don't apply any of it, you will have a very different experience, right? So this is as good as you want to use it as an invitation for you, as a practice for you. So use it, use it. And then if you want to, you can come back every month and share with me in the comments what the consideration was for you. I would always recommend having it like trying to see how this is relevant for you instead of going and being like, there was nothing in November about femininity, or I never saw dresses, or there's nothing about stockings, or I didn't see a brontosaurus or whatever for these things, right? But instead of just being like, this at this point is a prime thing for you to consider that you can find benefit from. And I would love to hear how these considerations have helped you month for month. So remember, once again, 2025's main theme is about catch. It's about good communication back and forth and ending the ping pong match. That is the primary theme of listening, taking a pause, validating the situation of somebody else's before you throw back, not from your solar plexus, but from after your heart and through your authentic voice. And then that's where communication is going to get so good this year. You will find when you're catching instead of ping-ponging, everything calms down. You're able to speak from a calm nervous system, and then you get the calm nervous system back from those around you. That ping pong is a very frantic energy, and that is shifting. So I'm very excited about this. Thank you guys. I've learned all of this right along with you. So I will be looking forward to seeing how each of these hit me every month. And I will see you again come the beginning of 2026, which is going to happen so quickly. All right. Until then, I love you. Bye.